frustrating me because there's so many moments in this movie where I'm like, turn on the lights, turn on the lights. They're dead. Turn on the lights. The whole movie's done. Turn on the lights. You know? Welcome, friends. Welcome back to Movie Night with the Youngs, our last episode for 2022.
Yes.
Wait, that's correct. 2022. Yeah. 2022 needs to be over. I can't even say what the correct year is, but this is our last episode for the year. We are finishing up our holiday movies. We are here with a movie probably people do not think is a holiday movie, but it is Gremlins. If you guys are new to our podcast, my name is Brittany.
And I'm Nicole.
And we are two sisters who are going back and watching the movies through our childhood and talking about them, seeing how they affect us as adults, and wondering, are they nostalgic or do they still hold up? Like I said, we are doing Gremlins today, which is from 1994, directed by Joe Dante, starring Zach Gilligan, Phoebe Cates, and Hoyt Axton. Just a small synopsis of the movie before we get into it. Basically, it is about a young man who receives a gift from his father of this little creature called a mogwai. And there's 3 specific rules that he's not supposed to do to these creatures. And of course, he breaks all of them and wreaks havoc in his hometown on Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. So, with that said, I want to start off today's podcast by just saying, I remember we watched this movie quite a bit growing up.
We did.
And I remember the characters in it. I remember the gremlins in it. I don't remember this being a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Like 100%. I don't remember anything about this being Christmas. Yet when you watch it, especially the opening sequence, feels like an old school Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember it being a Christmas movie either, other than the fact that every year you see it rerunning on TV at Christmas time.
Which I guess now makes sense because, yeah, it 100% takes place on like December 24th and 25th.
Mm-hmm.
But we start the movie with Hoyt Axton's character, Mr. Plavlin? Billy's dad. That's what we'll call him.
The inventor.
The inventor. He is an inventor, and he is in a nondescript Chinatown. Thanks for helping us with location, guys. Nondescript Chinatown, trying to find a gift for Billy. And he goes in and tries to hawk his invention to this seller. And he hears a sound in the back of the store. And he walks back there and he sees this small little creature. And he asks the seller how much. And the seller says, he's not for sale. You're not ready. He offers $200, and the seller's grandson tells him, wait outside. I'll talk him into it. We need the money. He comes outside with the little, what we find out is called a mogwai. Mogwai? Mogwai. 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 Mogwai? He comes out later, or a couple minutes later, out in the store with the mogwai in a box saying, here you go, sir. Now I have 3 specific rules for you. 1, keep him out of bright light, especially sunlight, or else it will kill him. Don't get him wet, and don't feed him after midnight. Sounds very simple, but he gives no explanation for why.
Yeah.
Great. And any thoughts on that, Nicole?
I mean, they're 3 simple rules.
3 simple rules.
You have to follow them.
You have to follow them, but he doesn't tell him, if you do these things, these will happen.
Yeah.
So Billy's dad goes back to his hometown, nondescript town in USA. Literally, they give us no inkling of where they are, besides the fact that I could tell, because I am a movie nerd, that this is the Universal backlot in Burbank. This is the same. Huh?
I was like, do you need to know where they are?
Oh, no, but I like to know. Like, I think it's fun knowing where they are. And plus, it helps you. I mean, this is supposed to be like a small town USA place.
Yeah.
But like I said, me being a movie nerd, I noticed it was the Universal Studios backlot where like
Back to the Future?
Back to the Future. Yeah.
Because I noticed some Back to the Future. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought when I was watching this movie.
Which makes sense because Steven Spielberg, who also produced Back to the Future, produced this movie. There's a lot of Steven Spielberg eggs in here, Easter eggs. Specifically, the first one we see is the writing on one of the billboards for, I have it written down, Rockin' Ricky Rialto, who is the DJ in town. That writing is in the Indiana Jones font.
Oh, yeah. I did notice that.
And then like later, there's like an E.T. doll that shows up at the store. And then I don't know if you noticed this, but Steven Spielberg makes a cameo too in the convention that Billy's dad goes to. He's in front of him riding in the bike.
Oh, I did not notice that.
It's Steven Spielberg. Which is very interesting because Joe Dante directed this movie, but Christopher Columbus, who we did earlier for Home Alone 2 weeks ago, he wrote this movie.
Mhm.
And over the span of 3 years, Steven Spielberg and Christopher Columbus worked on Home Alone, Goonies, and Gremlins.
Mm.
I
3
mean,
very good movies.
childhood in a box right there.
Pretty much.
But moving on, we go through this nondescript USA town and we finally meet Billy, who is our main character. His car's frozen, it won't start. Him and his dog, Barney, are trying to get to work. And we run into his next door neighbor, Mr. Futterman,
Mhm.
who Mr. Futterman is interesting. At first, when I started watching it, I was like, stereotypical 1980s next door neighbor. What a kook.
Mhm.
What a character. We'll
Yeah.
talk about Futterman later when he comes up again because he's more than a character or a kook.
Yeah.
But Billy can't get his car to start. He's running late for work. So we watch him go through this town and meet all these people. And he works at the bank and he's got his little dog, Barney, with him. And he hides underneath the desk, which I was like, who's
Who
letting people bring
allows
their,
Yeah.
yeah,
Who allows their dog to work with them, especially in a bank.
especially a big dog. Barney's like a golden retriever. He's not a little
Yeah.
lap dog. He's
Yeah.
big.
Yeah. And he just ties him under his little station.
Under his little station. And then we meet his crush, Kate, who's played by Phoebe Cates, another 1980s, I think, dream girl of everybody out there.
Mhm.
We then meet this character, Mrs. Deagle. She is a Grinch
Grinch / Cruella de Vil, I feel like.
slash Wicked Witch of the East,
Mm.
especially because this scene especially reminded me of Wizard of Oz, where she comes into the bank and she's all hot and bothered because Barney, the dog, has broken her snowman.
Mhm.
And she tells Billy, like, I want your dog put down. Give him to me. Like,
Yeah.
I want him put down. And he goes, no, no, no. He's never hurt a soul. He's not even here. And then she's like, no, give me your little dog. I'll get your little dog, just like the Wicked Witch of the East does. And he says, no, he's not here. But then Barney, like, not attacks, but like jumps out from underneath the desk and goes after her, breaking
Mhm.
the rest of her snowman.
Mhm.
The bank manager comes out and she's just like, oh, the dog, playing the victim. The dog attacked me. Like, he
Yeah.
bit me. And he's like, no, he would never bite anybody. It was so The Wizard of Oz to me, that whole entire scene.
Yeah.
Like when
Well, I
Dorothy
mean,
and Toto and the
now
whole
that you
thing. Yeah.
explain it that way, I do see that. I didn't see it
Yeah.
when I was watching it, though.
Oh, I 100% saw it
Mm.
when I was
Yeah.
watching it. I don't know if that's something. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I love The Wizard of Oz and I've watched it a lot. I don't know if that was on purpose
Mhm.
or if I'm just reading too far into it. But The Wizard of Oz is another Christmas movie that comes up all the time during the holidays. So I wonder if that was just like a little tip of the hat nod to The Wizard of Oz. It's just in that scene.
Yeah, could be.
Um
Poor dog. Plus,
Speaking
she's
of the
very I feel like she's very aggressive.
Mrs.
She's,
Deagle?
like, basically saying the dog needs to be taken to the pound and put down, or I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Like give me your dog so I can go put it down. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a bit much. It actually kind of reminds me. I don't even know if I should share this story because I don't want my degree being hanging away, but I've already said it. In college, my senior year of college, I took a full load, like a full schedule. I was very burnt out by the end. And I took a musicals class and we watched Wizard of Oz. It was by one of the most prolific teachers at USC. And he had a theory about the Wizard of Oz. And I then watched the Wizard of Oz in a different class and we had to write a paper on it. And I basically took my teacher's theory and wrote my paper based on what he told me in his other class because I was just like, I can't. I don't have time. I'm so burnt out. I just want to graduate. And I turned it in. And when I got the paper back, my TA on the top said, oh, you must be in Drew Casper's musicals class. And I was like,
Oh, that's funny.
So I'm like, oh no. Hey guys, I got the degree, I passed, but like it wasn't plagiarism per se, but it was plagiarism.
Yeah.
I don't condone plagiarism, do your own work, but it happened. Moving on, also in this bank, we meet Judge Reinhold, who is another 80s staple. He's in so many 80s movies. He
Mhm.
plays Billy's nemesis for a quick second. He's not really in the movie that much, but it made
Yeah.
me wonder, how old are these characters? They look super young to be working at a bank.
Yeah.
Like Judge Reinhold even says, I'm 23 now and I'm like the VP of the bank.
Mhm, mhm. I mean, they're probably young 20s. I mean,
Yeah, but like
I don't get the impression they're still in high school.
I don't get the impression that they're still in high school, but then at the same time, Billy is still living at home with his parents. I don't know if that's like a sign of the times or maybe because he's in a small town, but like a lot of the things that Billy still does are very childlike.
Mhm.
Like he's still really into comic books and like I saw in later in the scene his mom has like in his stocking like a robot toy. I'm like
Yeah,
Billy's a grown man.
yeah.
Like
Well, and the fact that his dad well, I'm skipping ahead, but even the Christmas present that his dad gives him is very kinda childlike, I feel like, too.
yeah, like it just I was kind of sitting there and I was like, okay, I would have loved to know how old everybody was in this movie just because it's not very clear.
Mhm,
But Billy's dad comes home later that next day and he does have a present, like you were saying, for Billy, and he ends up giving him Mogwai. And he says, I don't know what Mogwai means, but I call him Gizmo.
mhm.
And him and the family are, playing with Gizmo. Poor little Barney is a little bit suspicious of Gizmo. Like he's barking at him, kind of, trying to touch him, but being a little bit uh hesitant.
Mhm,
And this is when his mom brings out a camera to do a typical mom photo. The flashing light freaks Gizmo out.
mhm.
And he tells him, Nicole,
No bright
go.
lights.
No bright lights. Sorry, I was panicking that my
What are you
microphone I thought
oh,
my microphone wasn't on and I was like, "Wait, where is it?" It is. We're all good. But
I can
yeah,
hear you.
cool. Gizmo freaks out and his dad says, "No bright lights.
Mhm.
Also, I have 3 rules." And this is where he tells them, him and his mom, the rules.
Yeah.
Again, very simple.
Mhm, mhm.
No bright light.
Yeah,
Don't give him water. Don't feed him after midnight.
yeah,
Very simple.
yeah. Aw, but Gizmo's so cute.
Gizmo's very cute. And you know
Mhm.
what's really funny is he, as we find out, he's not doing a lot in this movie.
Yeah, he's kinda he's kinda useless, I feel
He
like.
doesn't do a lot in this movie, yet he is the character we remember to a
Mhm.
T in this movie. Like everybody knows Gizmo,
Yeah.
you know.
I just remember so before watching this time around, all I remember from that movie is him always being like, "Bright light, bright light." That's, like,
Yeah,
all I remember.
he does nothing. But yeah, he's the one that we walk away with. He's got merchandise. I personally, and I proved it to you and mom,
Yeah.
I received Gizmo slippers. I'm gonna post it to our Instagram page, guys. I had Gizmo slippers, got them one Christmas in like the best Santa haul of my life.
Which
He
I
like he
never remembered you had
oh,
those.
I 100%. I've never forgotten them. Wore them probably twice. Who wears slippers as a kid? Nobody. But like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. Like
Yeah, which this movie must have been very important in our lives at the time, enough for mom and dad to give you Gizmo slippers.
true, but it also, let's be real, Gizmo. I like little cute chubby things, and I feel like Gizmo fits that. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. It must have been important in our life.
Mhm.
But Billy spends the night playing with Gizmo. He tucks him in. He says goodnight, Gizmo, which I also is just like Gizmo in his little chair is literally in like a shadow from your curtains. You're gonna get fried in the morning. Move them. Like rule number one.
Yeah.
Hello.
And then he figures
Um,
out that he can sing
he figures out that
at
he
that
can
time.
sing,
Mhm.
which has no significance to anything in the movie besides
Mhm.
making him cute.
Mhm. Although
Um,
his singing tune is something I remember from the movie too, for some
hmm.
reason.
There's a lot of I feel like significant songs. Like
Like, if
what's
you had
that?
played that with nothing else, I would be able to tell you the movie.
Really?
Mhm.
Well, I don't think I would have recognized it in anywhere. Hmm. But the next day, Billy, it must be a weekend because he's at home. He ain't at the
Mhm.
bank, but he's playing with Gizmo and he's playing with Barney. And his friend Pete comes over, played by
Mhm.
Corey Feldman,
Mhm.
which is really interesting. One, because Pete just walks into their home, walks into their house, doesn't knock, doesn't say hello, just walks in with a Christmas tree.
Well, he's like a neighborhood kid, I feel like. Everyone knows everybody. They just walk in whenever.
Small town USA, I guess, just
Yeah.
walking into neighbors' houses. But he's walking in, and I think this is really interesting because I feel like a lot of 80s movies, we have friendships with huge age
Age gap.
differences.
Mhm.
Like Billy, who's in his early 20s, is hanging out with Pete, who's like in middle school.
Mhm.
We have the Goonies where it's like elementary school kids with Brand and Andy and everyone like that in high school.
Well, I think that one's a little different because 'cause they're siblings.
True, but still, I mean, the dynamic is still there.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, another Corey Feldman movie. We have The Burbs, where Corey Feldman's character is in high school. Maybe just Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman's character is in high school and he's hanging out with his like next door neighbor who's like in his
Mhm.
40s.
Yeah.
Like it does feel like there's a lot of interesting age gap friendships.
Mhm.
But he shows Gizmo to Pete, Billy does,
Mhm.
and Pete really wants one. And he says, like, I think he's the only one in existence. And here we go,
Yep.
breaking rules. He puts Gizmo down to sing so he can sing, and Pete knocks over a glass of water, and
Mhm.
Gizmo gets wet and starts to convulse, and
Very,
little
very violently, I
yeah,
feel like.
little fur balls pop out from his back that
Mhm.
they start to grow into more mogwais.
Mhm.
Which here's the craw in my paw, Nicole. Why wouldn't you tell your friends the rules of mogwais?
'Cause I don't even think he remembered the rules.
It makes me like
Like
a simple, hey, this is the only one in existence. Just so you know, we can't get him wet. We
yeah.
can't give him food after midnight. We can't get him in some like it just
Mhm.
it.
I also don't think he took him very seriously until that point, obviously, but I don't think it even crossed his mind to tell him any of the rules.
No, but it should have because here we are, literally 20 minutes into the film, and you've broken rule number 2,
Mhm.
and now we have 5 more mogwais.
Yep.
I just yeah, it frustrates me and my frustration only grows throughout the movie and you will hear it as I describe it. But that night, Billy decides to take one of the mogwais, the new mogwais, to his
Mhm.
elementary school science teacher, Mr.
Yeah.
Hansen,
Yeah.
because
Is he
why not?
elementary?
Well, elementary, middle
I
school?
It's because I thought it was Pete's teacher because he's in one of the classes later in the
Oh,
movie.
so yeah, I guess we're never confirmed. I mean, it looked like he was truly walking into City Hall, but it
It does. Yeah, that's a very elaborate looking school from the
yeah,
outside.
but he takes him to Mr. Hansen, and Mr. Hansen is like, "Show me what you like, show me whatever you know."
Mhm.
Again, breaking rule number 2, Billy puts water on him, spawning another Mogwai that Mr. Hansen then keeps to do experiments on.
Yeah. So this part, I would share your frustration because he's already known what happens when you
Yes!
put water on him, and now he's purposely doing it.
Yes! Like,
Mhm.
stop, think. What is gonna you Nicole.
Mhm.
Yes.
Also, so is it the amount of water that determines how many new gizmos come out?
Well, it's
Because
not
he
whoa, whoa,
like
whoa, 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 whoa. It's not new gizmos,
well,
it's new
whatever,
Mogwais.
mogwai, yeah. But, like, is it the
Don't
amount
drag
of
Gizmo into
water?
this. It must be
Because
because this one
this
he
one's
does
just
1
a
drop.
drop, he gets 1,
1.
there he gets, like, a splash, gets 5, and then
Yeah,
towards the end of the movie, they submerge themselves in a whole pool and
and
get
it's like 100.
a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, that tracks to me. That I have
Mhm.
no problem with. That science makes sense to me.
Not
1 drop,
really.
1 Mogwai. Many
1
drops,
baby.
many Mogwais. That tracks. I the math
Uh,
is mathin' for me there.
yeah.
Um, but he does these experiments on this new Mogwai, and
Mhm.
he's really hurting him. Like, he takes a vial of blood, and the Mogwai's really
Mhm.
scared, and he's hurting him. But back at Billy's house, Billy's got his little group of 5. One of them is a trickster. They name him Stripe
Stripe.
because he's got a little mohawk down his head.
Mhm.
But they're kind of freaking out. And it's interesting to see because Billy treats them so differently. He's got Gizmo all tucked in, reading his little 3D glasses comic book. But
Mhm.
then the other Mogwais are like in a cardboard box freaking out on the floor.
But he even when they first came out, were born, whatever you wanna call it, he says
Yeah,
they're different than Gizmo.
they are different than
Like, right off the bat,
they
he
might be
said
like
that.
the antithesis of Gizmo. I plagiarized. I don't know words. They're the opposites of Gizmo.
Yeah.
But that night when they fall asleep, well, first of all, they're freaking out in the thing.
Mhm.
Here we go, break rule number 3.
Yeah.
He feeds them.
But yeah.
He does. You're gonna say he looks at the clock
Mhm.
and it's not midnight. He
Yeah.
does, but we find out later that someone chewed through the wire, so it clearly was later.
Yeah.
It was after midnight when he fed them.
Earthquake.
Earthquake. She's in Alaska. Earthquake. Oh,
Did
that's
you
so
see my
sad.
camera shake?
No, I didn't see it, and I don't
That was
hear
a good jolt.
anything.
That was a good jolt.
Ooh, guys, podcasting live. I've actually thought about that. What would happen if there's an earthquake while we do? Do I keep rolling? Do I stop?
You
We're
should
gonna
probably
keep
check on
rolling.
me, make sure I'm still
Nicole, are you
here.
okay? Are
I'm
you
fine.
good? Is Jason okay? The dog's okay?
I don't know, I can't hear anything.
Mm. We'll find out after if they're
That
fine.
was a good shake. Okay.
Oh, didn't get to
Back to
see
the
it.
podcast.
Back to the podcast. So what's happening? Oh, he just fed them. So
Yeah.
they fall asleep, and I feel terrible because during that night, Barney's gone. He can't find Barney. In the
Mhm.
middle of the night, he's like, "What's going on? Where's Barney?" We find Barney outside, wrapped up in Christmas lights hanging from the porch, which to me hit me a lot harder than I think it was supposed to.
It was very aggressive.
Yeah, like animal
What
cruelty.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is appropriate time to talk about this, but I feel like as you go into the movie, this definitely is not a kids movie.
No, it's not.
Like, it's actually very violent.
It is very violent. Also, for those of you watching, I'm somehow becoming Genie from Aladdin, just blending into the background. Ugh, guys, we're still working on it. Those of you who are listening, you're missing some great visuals.
Yeah.
But yes, it does kind of give a precursor to the fact that this is about to become a violent movie.
Mhm, mhm.
Billy wakes up the next morning and he's fed them
Fried chicken.
fried chicken, yes, which is something I also remember of this movie. He's fed them chicken and he wakes up and there are now cocoon sacks on his floor.
Yeah.
My question to you is, did they do that silently? How did he not wake up in the middle of the night to them making cocoons?
Yeah. We're gonna go with it was probably silently.
Like, these look like the cocoons from Aliens. They're huge, slimy.
Oh, you got aliens? I got arachnophobia from
Oh,
that.
interesting.
'Cause
That
it's the
I'll
same,
allow
remember
it.
in the attic?
Yeah,
The
I'll allow
Yeah.
that.
Mhm,
But yeah, he decides again to take one to Mr. Hansen.
mhm,
And as Mr. Hansen has it, he's again trying to figure out what's going on. But that night, Billy goes to the bar where Kate works and decides to walk her home after her shift, which is a
mhm.
very sweet moment, him walking her home. And he asks her out on a date.
Yeah.
And, they do at the beginning run into Mr. Futterman,
Mhm.
their next door neighbor, which now brings me to, oh, what I thought was a crazy, kooky character. He's a xenophobe. He is 100% xenophobic. He constantly tells Bill, well, he's a xenophobic, but he also has PTSD from, he says
His
World War II,
War
but
II days, yeah.
yeah, like I don't think he's that old, but he basically tells Kate and Billy to watch out for gremlins.
Gremlins,
And he
mhm.
says gremlins are foreigners. Foreigners, they're sending us foreign cars, they're sending us foreign equipment, they're putting their
Mhm.
gremlins into our American machines and they're coming to mess with America.
Yeah, like in the TVs and
In the
yeah,
TVs, in his
mhm.
tractor that he drives, and the only reason why he drives it is because it's, like, Kentucky made.
I was gonna say, why is he driving a tractor to the bar?
Because it's American.
And why is the
He's
tractor out in the snow?
because
Isn't
it's
that
got
like a
no foreign
summer
gremlins in
equipment?
it. I don't know. Like, it's just it was something to me when I actually afterwards, I was like, "Oh, I really liked you, Mr. Futterman," and then now you have this extreme hatred of foreigners, which I don't wanna say I understand, but that, for lack of a better term, I understand comes from your PTSD of going to war,
Mhm,
but it was something that I was not expecting and definitely did not catch on as a kid.
mhm. Yeah, for sure.
And especially since both Billy and Kate just kinda like, "Oh, Mr. Fetterman, he's drunk.
Mhm.
Don't drive your tractor home now.
Yeah.
Be safe." Like,
You
they
need to
just
walk.
com yeah, they just completely brush it off.
Mhm,
Um, and especially, during the '80s, tension with Russia, tension with China, like, it was just something where I was like, it just felt unnecessary
mhm, mhm.
and breezed over.
Yeah.
But like I said, after they run into Mr. Fetterman, Billy walks Kate home. He asks her out on a date and she says yes and tells him, well, before I tell about that, I've decided the '80s movies are where I get my attraction to men.
What?
Specific attraction to men because I looked at Zach Gilligan who plays this character and I was like, God, what a cutie.
Mhm.
And then I was like, I think I thought he was cute when I was younger. And then I
Yeah.
look back at all the guys I've ever had a crush on. They're just goofy brunette dudes who are tall. Look at my fiance. Like, I'm pretty sure my love of those goofy brunette tall guys came from the
Came
80s
from the
movies.
movies.
Yeah, think about it. Billy and Gremlins, Jake Ryan and 16 Candles. Like,
Could be.
I got a type. Anyway, uh Billy asks Kate on a date and she says yes, and she goes into this whole thing about how she hates Christmas and how everybody gets mad at you when you hate Christmas.
Yeah.
It has no bearing on the movie whatsoever except for a later scene, and that's why I'm bringing it up now, but it's just something where she says she hates Christmas. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, she goes through the whole part about how Christmas time is a time where some people are actually depressed and brings up
Yes.
memories, and it's not always a happy time for everybody.
Yes, the holidays are very sad, which is true.
It is true. Yeah.
And it is something we've talked about in previous a couple weeks ago where we kind of forget just because it's joyous for us does not mean that it is a joyous time for everybody.
Yeah.
Definitely something you don't understand as a kid.
Mhm.
The next day, Mr. Hansen is teaching class and the school bell rings, and literally as the school bell rings, his sack or his cocoon that Billy gave him starts to hatch.
Yeah.
And he calls Billy, gets the kids out of the class, calls Billy and says, "Get over here right now. It's
Mhm.
hatched."
Well, what movie are they watching? Sorry, I just gotta point this out.
Some
The
science
science
movie.
film looks a little bit graphic for that age group, I feel like.
It's the
I don't
80s,
remember
man.
watching any of that in our science classes.
The things that you it's so funny. This happened in Home Alone too. The things that you catch on that are graphic versus the actual violence and graphic stuff in the movie is very strange. You think that's graphic, but I'm curious to hear about what you think about what happens in the rest of this film.
Well, because I like horror movies. So the actual horror part
You're
is not
fine with,
is not
but
yeah, everything in the background is what I notice.
so you notice the science film
Uh,
in the science class as being aggressive,
exactly.
but Mr. Hansen, who's about to be killed, that's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Understood.
Because you
Ooh.
expect that to happen.
No, you don't.
Yes, you
This is supposed to
do.
be a family movie. You don't expect it to happen.
But we learned this is not a family movie.
Oh, it's just guys, we'll talk about it. It's part of my thing. But on the way to Billy going to Mr. Hansen's class, we also noticed that his cocoons at his house are starting to hatch as well.
Mhm.
Mr. Hansen, his cocoon, a an intense gremlin comes out. We'll call it that.
Mhm.
A aggressive gremlin comes out. It's no longer these cute little mogwais. It's now this green lizard-looking demon thing.
Yeah.
And he's of course a scientist by nature. He's fascinated, and so he tries to help it, tries to feed it, and when he's
Candy
feeding
bar.
it,
Mhm.
that gremlin kills him.
Attacks him. Yeah.
Did you see with a syringe?
Yeah, I did see that. I was like, "Why?"
Irony. Irony.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what irony is?
Yes, I do.
Because he took the blood from
Yeah,
that
I
syringe.
got
Okay,
it.
cool, 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 cool. Just
I got
checking.
it.
But this is the moment to me where I was like, oh, I don't remember people getting straight up killed in this movie.
I do.
I don't remember that. But Billy arrives and he sees that Mr. Hansen is dead. For 1 second, he tries to call the police.
Mhm.
And then this little gremlin thing basically attacks him as well.
Yeah,
And
scratches him.
he tries to like go get first aid and like goes through the school and tries to find this gremlin, never once thinking again, I got to see if Mr. Hansen's okay or I need to call for help.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he just assumes that he's gone.
Yeah, but like have a heart, Billy, call somebody, because at this point you don't know what's happening. You'd think
Yeah.
that he'd be like, oh, I got to call the police, I got to get an ambulance here.
Mhm.
But during this time, he then remembers, I have these same exact cocoons at home. My mom's there. I got to go
Mhm.
home.
Yeah.
So he goes home and his mom
Which it
is
all of a
making
sudden turns to nighttime.
Yes, I was gonna say the
Which I was
kids
like,
just
wasn't it day?
left.
They just left the
What
class.
time do they get out of school in this town? 6:00?
Yeah.
Could have been after school program, but yes, I thought that too. The timeline of this movie is quite
Mhm.
shaky because in
Mhm.
about 40 minutes, it goes from like end of school to the next morning.
Yeah. Which I feel like when you watch a movie so many times, you start to pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah.
other than the actual movie itself.
Yeah, we're now focusing on the plot holes and the logistics of it all, the
Mhm.
semantics of it all.
Mhm.
But Billy goes home and his mom is there making cookies and she starts hearing noises in the
Mhm.
house and she goes upstairs and sees the cocoons have opened.
Mhm. With all the dry ice effects.
Yes, and that's when she hears Christmas music start to play downstairs, which is like the next moment that another Christmas thing pops up.
Mhm.
But she goes downstairs and she starts to be attacked by these aggressive gremlins. And she just starts going ham on them.
Lashing them.
She puts one in a blender. She puts one in the microwave. She
Mhm.
stabs one.
Yep.
Like she's going quite aggressive for mom.
Mhm.
Her name's Lynn. Get it,
Mhm.
Lynn.
She's
She
not
goes,
afraid.
yeah, but like also them dying and exploding a bit much. Like all the guts and globber and glue a bit much for me.
It
Wasn't a
fits.
fan of that
I
effect.
think it fits.
Um But finally, she goes into the living room where a gremlin is hiding in a Christmas tree. And this actually scared me. It wasn't that the gremlin was in the Christmas tree. It felt like the Christmas tree was attacking her. And that was scary for me right
Yeah.
now, like as an
Mhm.
adult. I was like, what the heck? In that moment, what?
But I don't understand why she was, like, attacking them, killing them in the kitchen, but all of a sudden with the Christmas tree, she can't do
Well,
anything.
well, because he can't remember he's in the Christmas tree and then the Christmas
Yeah,
tree
it falls on
falls on
her.
her.
Yeah.
So he's like hidden in the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Like she can't really see where he's at,
Which is those old school Christmas trees with all that tinsel all over
which
it.
the house was gonna light on fire. Um, but Billy comes in that moment and basically kills that gremlin.
Mhm.
And they then see another gremlin with a little stripe, and they're like, "That's Stripe. That's him. That's the leader." And he
Mhm.
escapes.
Mhm.
So Billy takes his mom to a next door neighbor's house to get fixed up. I think that he's a doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
Billy and Gizmo, who, by the way, when these gremlins first came out, they like tortured and kidnapped
They
Gizmo.
put him in the what is it, a laundry chute?
Yeah, but after, like, putting him on the dartboard and throwing darts at him,
Yeah. Poor Gizmo.
poor Gizmo. Again, you're useless. What you doing here? Um,
He's
do
not a
something,
fighter.
Gizmo. Gizmo! Do something. But Billy and Gizmo go on the hunt for Stripe, and they follow his footprints to the YMCA. I
At
just
first
did the YMCA
it
date.
was funny when I was writing my notes down, I put the high school, and then later got on that is an actual YMCA.
They are at the Y. And of course, so I apologize. I'm about to get real heated for the next 15 minutes.
Oh goodness.
So while they're in the YMCA, Stripe attacks Billy.
Mhm.
During the attack, he flips him off. Billy flips Stripe off of him and realize I just pushed him so close to the pool, he falls in.
Mhm.
And that's when the pool starts bubbling. We know, like you said, one drop of water means one mogwai. A splash means 5. A whole pool's gonna mean a lot of them.
Yeah.
Billy, my man, if you know sunlight kills them or bright light, pool lights are the brightest lights on the planet.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just turn on all the lights in the pool to kill them?
He's not thinking about that when he's getting attacked.
But you started this. It frustrated me because there's so many moments in this movie where I'm like, turn on the lights, turn on the lights. They're dead. Turn on the lights. The whole movie's done. Turn on the lights. You know?
Yeah.
And so instead, my man Billy runs out of the YMCA knowing, like he even says, like, oh no, we're in trouble. Like
Mhm.
knowing he just screwed up.
Yeah.
And he goes to the cops to tell the cops, like, hey, bad stuff's about to start to happen. The cops don't believe him, so they show him Gizmo.
Mhm.
They then spend the next hour talking about how cute Gizmo is, playing with Gizmo. If you saw Gizmo, why didn't they then believe that maybe more bad gremlins were there?
Because Gizmo's so cute. He's not bad.
Okay, well,
Why would you think there's bad ones?
because Billy just came and told them. In their cuteness hour, Stripe's army has arisen from the YMCA pool.
Mhm. Which I'm
And they
not a fan
go,
of that name, Stripes. But
Stripe? It's more of a mohawk, but
Yeah.
it's a
It should be
stripe.
Spike, but okay.
Why Spike?
I don't know. Because the spikes on his mohawk.
But it's also a stripe down his head.
True. Whatever.
You just like the name Spike. But basically, s- what's his Stripe? I was gonna say Spite. Stripe's army has arisen, and they go on a rampage in the town. And this is where I get a little bit peeved about this movie. Pick a tone. Pick a tone.
Mhm.
Are you a comedy where you have all of these super gremlins doing fun stuff like eating candy and Christmas caroling to Mrs. Deagle and playing mischievous jokes on each other, like cutting the brakes of the car? Or are they actually dangerous and they're straight up killing people with syringes, taking Mr. Futterman's tractor through his house and crushing him and his wife,
Mhm.
killing people, lighting them on fire? Like, pick a tone. You can't have cartoony things happening and then the next second someone literally being killed.
Mhm. See, I like that.
Really?
Yeah, that is the tone of the movie.
But it's the tone is you have no tone?
The tone is it's all of that.
I don't know. It was just
Comedic,
too much for me.
horror, violent creatures.
It was just too much for me. I really wanted them
It's
to
not your kind of
either
movie, I
it
think.
which is funny because it was when I was younger, and now I think because I've become a cinephile, I'm, like, nitpicking at the things I don't like.
Mhm.
Which, yes, people have told me many times, "Brittany, don't do that, you're ruining the movie." But I like
Yes.
doing that. Um, Fun fact, though, this movie and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom are actually the 2 movies that got the MPAA, which is the organization Motion Picture Association of America, I believe, who set the ratings for films. And
Hmm.
Steven Spielberg actually petitioned based off of the Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom and Gremlins that they need to put in something between R and PG
Hmm.
because of these movies, how they do have the light tones, but they do also have the dark tones. That's where we
Mhm.
got PG-13 from,
Interesting.
is because of these 2 movies. And I believe about 2 months after this movie came out, PG-13 started being added to movies.
Hmm.
So very curious.
That's
But
interesting.
while, like we said, these super gremlins are taking over the town, they're killing people, they're blowing stuff up, they're having fun. They're now in Dory's bar where Kate works, and they are just having a party.
Yeah.
Again, tone.
Yeah. My thing too is why is Kate staying in there and serving them?
I thought that too. I think it's just she realized if I give them what they want, they won't kill me.
Yeah,
If I
could
keep
be.
giving them drink, they won't kill me.
Yeah.
But, like, they go through, and I think this is funny because the whole time they start to give the gremlins, like, personalities. Like,
Yeah, they
there's
do.
some, like, playing cards, they're dressed up in, like, dresses and earrings.
Mhm.
There's another one, like, flash dance,
With the leg
maniac
warmers.
dancing. Yeah, with, like, leg warmers. There's one that I saw that was very, obscene. There's a flasher. He's, like, in a
Oh,
trench coat
yeah,
and
with his trench
glasses
coat.
and, like,
Yeah.
flashes Kate his naked, scaly body.
Yeah. Which doesn't make sense
Um
because they don't wear anything anyways.
But also doesn't make sense because why would they know that? They just were born 20 minutes ago in the Y pool. How do you know what you're doing, sir? Find a tone. But yes, and now they can start to talk.
Yeah.
Well, they can say
Well,
things.
one words. Yeah.
Yeah, they can say little things.
Mhm.
But this is what I also thought was interesting. Kate now decides, I'm over this. I'm out.
Yeah.
She takes the Polaroid camera and starts flashing them with the flash to
To
get
get her
out
way
of
out.
the yeah.
Mhm.
How does she know to do that? She doesn't know what these things are. She's not even met Gizmo or been told about Gizmo by Billy.
Yeah.
So, like, where does she know to do that?
Mhm. Well, did she purposely do that to get out? 'Cause I'm talking about the very first time she did it. Or was she just
Well,
taking the picture and then figured out that they don't like the
oh, I
flash?
don't even
I think
know.
that's
Maybe I skipped or maybe I missed that. I thought it was just she grabbed the camera and was like, "Flash, flash, I'm out." But you're right,
I
maybe
think she
she
was taking a
was,
picture. Yeah.
which again, what are the gremlins gonna do with a picture?
They're
I
just
don't
having the
know.
time of their lives.
While Kate is shimmying out of the bar, Billy and Gizmo finally get his car to start and they
Mhm.
go to save her. Their knight in shining armor. Kate's doing fine. She don't need your help, but okay. 80s.
Your Volkswagen.
Gender stereotypes. So he shows up. Again, Nicole, his Headlights kill some of the gremlins. Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. Why is it so dark? it, makes, it makes me so upset.
Well, are any of the street lights on?
All the street lights are on.
Oh, see, I didn't even notice that.
So many lights are on in this place, which again goes against lights freak them out. But
Mhm.
whatever. I digress. Production designer, do your thing. You want some neon lights in there. Billy and Kate now have to make a run for it, and they go and hide out in their old bank,
Mhm.
which I thought was very funny because she walks in and she's just like, "They've been here too. The whole place is messed. Of course they've been here, Kate."
They've been through the whole town at this point, I think.
But like the obviousness of her, they've been here too. Yeah, they did. This is in the moment where I earlier brought up how she talks about how she hated Christmas and it has no
Mhm.
bearing or outcome on the story whatsoever. She decides to tell Billy in this moment, which is totally inappropriate because they're fighting for their lives, but whatever,
Yeah.
we'll stop for a nice sentimental story. She tells Billy the reason why she hates Christmas is that Christmas when she was 9, her father never came home from work. He was missing for a good 5 days.
Mhm.
Her and her mom lit their fireplace, smelled a weird
Could
smell,
smell.
called the fire department, and lo and behold, her dad's body was stuffed in the chimney. He was trying to surprise her by playing Santa, and he slipped and fell and broke his neck.
Mhm.
And
Which is
that's
so
why she
sad.
hates Christmas.
Yeah. Such a
And
sad story.
an unnecessary story. Girl, ain't got
Yeah.
no bearing on this movie whatsoever.
I think it was just the moment, like, she feels like everything's going crappy, they're about to die, so let's just share this story about why we really hate Christmas, and here we are again at Christmas.
I'm fine with that, but the fact that it was even written into this movie, it makes no sense. It would have been more impactful to me if she had been like at the end, I hate Christmas. That would have
Mm.
been funnier to me. That feels more in tone than this wackadoodle story of her dad dying in their chimney on Christmas. It just doesn't have any bearing on the plot.
I mean, I don't even remember the story the first time around,
Oh
or
no,
when I
because
was little, I never
we
when
were
I
just
watched it this time, I was like, "Oh, I don't remember this at all."
we were distracted by Gizmo.
Mhm.
We're not listening to this silly girl's little story. I want Gizmo. So they after story time, Billy and Kate realize that the town feels very quiet. They go
Mhm.
outside, no gremlins in sight. They are walking along and they start hearing laughter and they walk into the movie theater and all the gremlins
All
are
there.
watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
Again, tone.
Interesting choice, but
I think it was just to add the comedy because if they're in there watching Terminator, which would make sense for these killers, basically,
yeah.
it's not so funny. But they're in
Yeah.
there watching like a sweet little singing hi ho, it's off to work we go. It's
Mhm.
funny.
Yeah.
Just problem with tone.
Britney has a problem with town.
Brittany has a problem with tone, but it presents a good opportunity for them, Billy and Kate, to have all the gremlins in one place to kill them.
Mhm.
They decide to go into the boiler room and turn on the gas and have a gas leak and basically light a fire so all the gremlins blow up. Great plan. It works until they realize Stripe? Now I don't know the
Stripe.
word because you said Spike. Stripe
Stripe.
has left the movie theater to go get candy across
Yeah.
the street.
How appropriate.
So he wasn't in
Isn't there
there.
candy in the movie theater?
No, the candy's all out. He goes through the bin. The candy's
Oh, I
all
don't even
out.
remember that part.
Yeah,
Okay.
he goes through the bin and the candy's all out. So he sees a candy sign across the way. So he
Makes sense.
leaves. They see him in the hardware store, basically, department store, and decide we got to kill him because
Mhm.
he's the
Their
leader.
leader. Mhm.
He's going to start up again. So they go through the department store and this is where Billy finally listens to me and says to Kate, "Find the lights.
Yeah.
Turn on the lights in here." So
Yeah.
she and Gizmo go off to find the lights while
Mhm.
Billy and Stripe have at it.
Mhm.
To which the whole time, oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, kind of random, me paying attention to the background again. Did you notice the toy that he broke the window with to get into the department store?
Yeah, that little
Yeah, we had one of those.
it's like
I don't even know what they're called.
it's like those it was the Fisher Price push toy where when you pushed it inside this little
Like the picture
dome.
changes.
Oh, the picture.
Or
I
you
always thought
have
it
the
was the
little
balls pop up.
there's different ones.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But That toy, yes, he breaks that to get into the
Mhm.
store.
Yeah.
Um, but what I thought was interesting, while they're fighting it out, Billy never throughout the whole movie has any sense of urgency to me.
Mhm.
Like, he gets hit and he's like, "Ugh." Like, it's just he just throughout the whole time, and I don't know if that was Zach Gilligan's acting choice that he wanted to be more grounded and not feel like rush, 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 but, like,
Mhm.
throughout the whole movie, he's just slow moving. He's kind of like I don't know, it didn't feel actiony to me. I don't know how to
Oh,
explain it.
I didn't really get that, but
It was something I noticed throughout the whole movie with Billy's character, but
mhm.
Kate is trying to find the lights. Girl cannot find a switch to save her life. She's turning on intercoms. She's doing everything but finding a light. So Gizmo finally decides, I'm going to do something. And he crawls away and finds a skylight
Mhm.
that he knows if he opens it and he can get Stripe into that spot, he will kill him.
Yeah, which is the first
So,
time Gizmo's gonna do something now.
yeah, first time Gizmo's done anything to save anybody or be any of the hero that we celebrate him to be in this movie.
Mhm.
So he gets a little toy car, gets in it, starts driving around the store,
And the
trying
little
to
Barbie car.
yeah, in the little Barbie car, which I think was another merchandising toy from this movie, if I'm correct. I think they
Huh.
had those Barbie cars with gizmos in them, but he basically tries to move Stripe into the space he's going to or is supposed to be. But what he
Mhm.
doesn't realize and what none of them realize is that that place is right next to a fountain that's been
Yeah.
turned on because Kate upstairs, who's trying to get the lights, turned on the fountain.
Mhm. It's like a greenhouse.
Yeah, it's like the garden center of the department
Yeah.
store.
Mhm.
And Stripe realizes it too. He
Mhm.
knows he can start all over again. So he actually starts going towards the fountain
Yeah.
and he puts his finger in it and starts bubbling.
Which
And
I didn't
Billy
understand that part,
Well,
but
I think it was like a haha Billy, watch me slowly bring I think it was just a
hmm.
I think it was just a tactic. But Billy's watching, freaking out. Oh no, just standing there, not doing anything. In comes Gizmo and he throws himself at
The little lever thing.
the
Mhm.
little lever. We had curtains. The little lever to open up the skylight and he does and Stripe starts to aggressively, disgustingly boil. Like
Mhm. I don't remember
mm,
that either
this was
when I
more
was watching it
graphic.
as a little kid.
This was more graphic than I was expecting. 100%
Mhm.
more graphic than I was expecting. Like you go through the layers of scales melted, muscle melted, fat melted,
Yeah.
bone. Like it was more aggressive than I think it needed to be. Again,
That was
tone.
more Alien to me.
Yeah, I
Aliens.
think that was to try to get like maybe the older crowds in, be like, yeah, blood and guts and stuff.
Mhm. It
Yeah.
also reminded me of Tremors too.
Good movie. Love that. We should do that later.
Yeah.
Um, but at that point, Kate, Billy, and Billy's dad, who has now randomly shown up
Mhm.
in the morning time to just see this one moment, they go home. On the news, basically, the town is like a series of mysterious accidents
Mhm.
have led to town mayhem. It's like, my dude, people died, your house is on fire. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just
Yeah.
mysterious mayhem, it is people are dying.
Yeah.
But during that time, the seller from Chinatown comes to their door because he knows where they live, apparently,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
says, "You were never meant to buy him. He was never meant to be sold to you. I told you you were not ready.
Yeah.
I need him back."
Mhm.
And the family, of course, realized we weren't ready. We apologize. Like the dad even apologizes for what happened, and they give Gizmo back to the seller.
Which is sad because now they've built this whole relationship with Gizmo.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of hope because at the end, the seller says, Gizmo or Mogwai wants to say something to you, Billy,
Mhm.
which I thought was going to be like a prophetic moment. And literally, he just goes, "Bye,
Bye, Billy.
Billy."
Yeah. I don't remember that either.
Thought this was going to be like a we're going to hug moment,
Yeah.
ET. Literally, just bye, Billy. That's it.
Yeah.
Which opens again, there is a sequel to this movie.
There
It opens
is.
the door because the seller says to Billy, "You may be ready one day.
Yeah. Mhm.
And when you are, Mogwai will be here."
Yeah.
And then that's the end of this movie.
Oh. Bye, Gizmo.
Bye, Gizmo. Bye,
Mhm.
Billy.
Yeah, I really don't remember him talking at all.
I don't well, he does say light and all that. Yeah, but
Oh,
I
well,
don't
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that. I felt
yeah.
like that was anticlimactic.
Mhm,
Um, but that is Gremlins.
mhm.
Nicole, the question of all questions to end 2022. Do you think this movie holds up or is it just nostalgia?
I think this one still holds up.
Yeah.
Mhm, I think so.
Okay.
It's a good movie.
Um to end 2022, we are going to have a movie night with the Youngs first. Nostalgia. Boom.
Mm. Really?
Nicole, I can't get
This is not your kind of movie, that's why.
No, 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 no. I don't think that it's not my type of movie. I truthfully think they set the parameters so high to be so simple. Do
Mhm,
not put them in sunlight. Do not get them wet. Do not feed them after midnight.
mhm.
Every single one of those rules is broken, which I'm fine with. However, they then continue to be ignored throughout the movie when simple, smarter, logical things could have prevented so much stuff from happening.
Yeah.
I think they're asking me to have too much disbelief to just believe that at the end of the movie, that's when Billy decides to turn the lights on.
Well,
Like,
if
it's
they don't
just
do all that, then they have no movie.
true, very true. But I will say, I just, I can't.
This is not a logical movie.
It's not a logical movie, and I need it to be
You just
because
have to accept that.
I can't. I can't. I loved it for writing little Gizmo in the car, but I can't accept it. It's
Yeah.
nostalgia. I'm
Okay.
sorry. That's it.
It's okay. You can feel like that if you want
It's the
to.
first one in what,
It is
10
the first
movies,
one. Yeah.
6 movies that we've done.
Mhm.
I think that this is nostalgia. You guys
Yeah.
can see how heated I'm getting about this. It just
It's just
whew,
Gremlins. Calm down.
I know. But friends, that is the last movie of 2022. That is also the last movie of our holiday month.
Oh, yeah.
So that means next month, January, Nicole's very
January.
excited about this, so much so that she made me
Yeah.
change what we were doing.
Yeah.
Next month, how do we phrase it? Next month is
Movies with the best soundtracks.
movies with the best soundtracks. And we are
Mhm.
starting off with the Whoopi Goldberg classic, Sister Act 2.
Yes.
We hope that you guys will be here with us in the new year for that. Thank you so much for watching our podcast on YouTube, for liking, subscribing, and putting any comments down below. We appreciate you guys.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for listening on our podcast platforms and downloading our episodes and subscribing to our podcast. Truly, as you can see, Genie from Aladdin, blue face over here, Willy Wonka, blue girl. We're learning, but we are having
Yeah.
so much fun doing this, and we
Yes.
appreciate you guys being here with us every week
Mhm.
to just have fun and laugh. And we hope that's what you're doing. And we hope that we make you think and bring our arguments into your family. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But we truly do appreciate you guys being here.
We do.
Nicole.
We do. We definitely appreciate it. We hope you all had a good holiday.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Yeah,
Woo!
exactly. 2023. It's going to be a good one.
2023, starting off with Sister Act 2. Guys, have an amazing holiday week. Have an amazing new
Mhm.
year. Have fun with the friends. Have fun with family. Thank you so much for being here with us. Hope you guys have a good movie night.
You as well. Bye.
What? You as well? I just said I hope they have a. Okay. Brittany's too heated. Everything's making her hot. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll
Oh
see you
gosh.
next week.
Bye.
Bye.